So You're Cordially Invited. What do you call it? Was released on Amazon on January 30th. The premise is basically Will Ferrell is a widow. He has a daughter. The daughter is engaged. He is very attached to his daughter, and he doesn't necessarily want her to get married, but more because he doesn't want her to leave him because he has for some odd reason has no other connections, doesn't really date, just totally dotes on his daughter, and so if she does the thing she's supposed to do as a young lady and leave the nest, he is bereft of anything else in his life of meaning. Then you have Reese Witherspoon's character, who is very Southern and left her Southern family because she doesn't really fit in with them. She produces reality TV, but she's still close with her sister, and her sister is getting married and is also having a baby. Here's the situation: there's an island. It has a wedding chapel and a hall. Because of the size of the island, it can only host one wedding at a time. Let me tell you how I worked in catering, Mac. Can I just
No.
talk to you for a second, Mac? I
Go ahead.
just need to
Nick
tell
will
you
listen.
this. I need to.
No going off the rails.
I need to share this with you. I worked in a
You-
catering hall. Can I tell you how there is something called a night wedding and a day wedding?
I worked at a hotel. Tell me about that.
Sometimes there could be 3 weddings going on in the same day. There would be a morning wedding, an afternoon wedding, and a late night wedding. The fact that they were like, we can only host one wedding a weekend because of or one wedding a day or whatever it was, because of the size of the island, I was like, I already don't believe this movie. This is crap. You could have absolutely.
They're probably losing money.
You could have, yeah, exactly. Like, no wonder, like, they have such a hard time keeping this place open. You guys are leaving money on the table. Anyway, my obsession over weddings aside, that's the whole setup. They can only host one wedding. Will Ferrell books it first, but oh no, the old lady who is 1,000 years old goes to write down the reservation and dies, don't you understand? Stricken by the hand of God she is. She is brought low. But she leaves an imprint of his name. This is important for later.
That stays there for quite some time.
It is the strongest non-working pen you'll ever see in your life.
as though people continued to write when they realized there wasn't drawing.
Yeah, it was practically etched in stone, this thing was. So right after that, Reese Witherspoon calls, and this island is very important to her. It is the island that she would visit her grandmother on, and her grandmother was the only relative that understood her. So this is very important. And she makes the reservation, and it's a year later, and hey now, both families show up at the same time. Oh no! So we have the Will Ferrell wedding, which is made up, and this is the best part of the movie for me, which is made up of. They're not Gen Alphas. What the fuck are you people? You people in your 20s. What do they call you?
What do you people? Mick, I think he's talking to you.
What are you people in your 20s? What are you, Gen Zers?
Yeah.
What? You don't know. Tell him you don't know. We've had this talk.
They're not millennials. Those are people currently like around the age of 40, I believe. So yeah, I think it's Gen Z. So Will Ferrell's people, the people who are his daughter's age, they're in their 20s. They're all Gen Zers, and they say great things like, "I have social anxiety and I'm just a baby." You're a full-grown adult, is what they are. But I love this part of the movie because I hate these people.
That's a little messed up there, Mark.
Mac, you've recorded with me before. This is no different than I normally am.
No, it's not.
So anyway, then you have the Reese Witherspoon wedding, and these people are all are Southern and just very Southern. And from that point on, first thing they have to do is establish the fact they're both there. And there's a whole elongated scene of them arguing about who's got the right to have the wedding there. And then they decide through happenstance that they're going to share the island. They're going to take turns using different facilities. And they're going to do exactly as I suggested, essentially have an early wedding and a late wedding. And it'll be fine. And they're going to get through this weekend. The daughter starts to bond a little bit with Reese Witherspoon, which then in turn causes her to say some bad things about her, which then Will Ferrell overhears. So at this point, it starts to be about Will Ferrell being a psycho, as he is in every movie he's in, and sabotaging the Reese Witherspoon wedding. Them being sabotaged, they start to sabotage them back, and it's one series of awkward jokes and sight gags after another until it reaches the denouement of Will Ferrell having lost his mind, wrestling a gator into the
A
hotel,
live gator.
into the hotel that they're staying at, which then bites Reese Witherspoon, and then they throw the gator out the window. At that point, the daughter has had enough of Will Ferrell, and the sister is not tremendously in love with Reese Witherspoon at this point. Everyone's mad at each other. By the next morning, Reese Witherspoon and her mother, who she's got some issues with, they resolve their differences. Reese and her sister resolve their differences. The daughter is long gone, and she's called off her wedding and doesn't want to. And they're going to annul the wedding, as a matter of fact, because her and the groom had a falling out as well. But Reese and Will Ferrell, they have a heart-to-heart, and they decide that they now know each other just a little bit better, and they decide, we're going to take you to your daughter, and he's going to go after her, and they're going to resolve their differences. And so they do. They have a nice little heart-to-heart about how the absence of her mother affected them both, which was nice until they made it gross, which is kind of the whole
There's
thing
a little
about
bit of
these
gross.
movies. Yeah. So
It's a Will Ferrell movie. There will be grossness.
Yeah, this is a thing they can't seem to get away from in modern movies. And so all's well that ends well. Reese and Will Ferrell end up together, and it's a year later, and everyone's a part of one big happy family, and all's well that ends well. All right, I don't even want to go first. Mick, you go. Mick,
Give it to us, Mick.
Mick, you go first. You tell us what you like about this movie.
Oh my goodness. I really actually like this movie. Like the other one, I would definitely watch it again. It was definitely a string of just like, yeah, like you actually put it the best, situational comedy. It's just like one thing happens after another, and then that's the whole plot.
Which
Thing happened again. Thing happened thrice.
And it's funny. I mean, it was kind of uncomfortable, but it's funny that they addressed it so much. Was just like the comments on the incestuous actions of Will Ferrell. Like when they sung the duet.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That hurt. I literally
so
looked
much.
away.
But I really like how they shot and just like set up how different the two weddings were.
Mm-hmm.
To separate the two families, and even when they did come together, you can like still see who was who.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the Gen Z thing, it was painful for me.
I'll take the
But
win.
I'm also like 80 in a 23-year-old body.
No, who told you that? Don't listen to him.
Well, just they were doing too much, you know.
You've lived a life, Mick
They're just-
Wanamaker. You've lived a life.
She has. She's seen things.
I have seen things. But the relationship between Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell was not surprising. You can tell immediately as soon as they had that quarrel in the lobby when they just showed up. It was just the whole movie was predictable. And the only sane person in this whole movie was the guy who was a Chippendale. The groom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was my spirit
The
animal. He was
groom-
like, I have tried to make my points known this entire night. No one's listening to me. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm wet. I'm aggravated. Goodbye.
Right? Although we were talking about end credits earlier when you kind of phased out there, Mark, but the end credits for this one I really enjoyed. Having like that cutout of them doing the song again, but it's everyone.
No, I don't think I made it through.
I thought that was really cute.
I think I turned it off and then threw my iPad out the window.
The end credits are actually fairly good.
Yeah. And you can look it up on YouTube if you just wanted to watch the end credit.
And I hated the movie, so the end credits saved me.
Because this time it's the same song he duetted with his daughter, but with Reese Witherspoon, and then it cuts away to the different family members.
Aw, that's cute, actually.
The daughter I found, she was pretty cute, but she was also in that boat of she was doing too much.
Mm-hmm.
But you could still, like, from the track of things happening, you could totally get why she was losing her mind.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it was a good movie. I wouldn't think too hard about it. Like, I mean, all three of these movies in this triple feature are the same boat.
Yes.
Oh, hey, I love you. Yes, that's right.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's entertaining.
All right. Let me cut in here, and then I'll let Mac do his version of Robert Winfrey.
Eviscerate. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'll let Mac do his impression of Robert Winfrey and tear this movie a new asshole.
Oh no.
But I don't hate this movie. I hate the kind of humor it's written. Like I just struggle with that sort of thing. But there's a lot about this movie that I did like. When I started thinking about this as a commentary on modern people, especially the Will Ferrell wedding people, like I mentioned it before, you have the best friend, the maid of honor, who's like, I'm just a baby, I have social anxiety. Like this was clearly written to poke fun at people like that. Like,
yeah,
like we're going to create a situation. It's a situation where Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell can be Mr. and Mrs. Smith and just kill each other. But we have to have other characters in this thing. And so what else can we do with this movie? I don't know. Make fun of modern 20-year-olds, which was fantastic. It
worked.
It was clearly written to mock them, which I kind of liked. But I think
Hey, Nick, how old are you?
She already told you she's like a 40-year-old in a 20-year-old's body. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
I'm sticking to that now that she said it. But
good.
I have to say, like, the other stuff that it touched on, like, I can't really throw the entire movie out. It's something I talk about with Robert all the time. Like, there's stuff in there that resonates with me. It kind of elevates the movie. And so there was a conversation that takes place between Will Ferrell's daughter and him about him placing his happiness on her shoulders, the amount of pressure that caused, the anxiety that it caused, and how unfair it was. And for him, and he does realize that by the end of the movie. It's one of the things that resolves the issues in their relationship, is realizing, he projected and never really got over the loss of his wife onto his daughter, which was utterly unfair. And it's not an uncommon thing either. You don't have to have a dead spouse, but I mean, I do think that we can, as people, project the needs and wants and the losses of something onto other people close to us. In this particular case, it was the loss of a wife. But I say this all the time when I work with people in therapy. Your need to derive happiness from the people around you gives them way too much power. Finding happiness and fulfillment within yourself and then living parallel to people, not, because of them, is where it's at. And him being as enmeshed as he was with his daughter did neither one of them any good. Which I like that the movie commented on that. It was stupid, but at least it commented. And it told the appropriate message in almost the right tone when we finally got to it and got done wrestling with alligators. So there was that. Then the other side of it, the whole thing with Reese Witherspoon and her family was a lot of unspoken needs and wants. Reese Witherspoon's character never feels comfortable around her family. And when they're kind of going through all the reasons why, it's like, well, you never invite me home. Well, it's like, You're always busy, you say. That's why we don't invite you. Like, you said you couldn't come home. You know, stuff like that. And it's the kind of thing that I think resonates for people, because I think it does happen with family. Is a lot of assumptions get made, and resentments build. And if only people would talk to each other, which if more people talk to each other the way they should, there would be no therapy business. But you don't. You don't talk to each other.
How are you supposed to keep the therapists paid?
Right, and so you have to pay somebody like $50 an hour, in order to tell you once you fucking talk to each other. How about that for a change?
Grow a spine and talk.
Yeah. So like I said, the stuff that should be emotionally resonant did its job. It was efficient, and I actually enjoyed. Which then just leaves the stupid comedy, which, dude, this thing clocks in at 109 minutes. This could have been, I think, if you shave this down to 90 minutes and cut back a little bit on the gags, like you were talking about the opening bit with Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell, where they're arguing at the front desk.
Yeah.
Oh, cut that down. That went on for way too long.
Yeah. There was nothing going on there that was worth watching.
No. We got the point, to have Reese Witherspoon threaten to punch him in the neck, have Will Ferrell threaten to step on her, and then move on from this conversation.
Yeah. Cut it away and then see how they resolved it.
Yeah. Later on, when there's the whole misunderstanding about one of the bridesmaids and the groomsmen going off to kiss, and they think it's the husband cheating on the new wife. Oh my God, cut that down. That went on for way too long.
Yeah, I think they were hoping for a lot bigger payoff.
Yeah. Whatever fuck dance she's doing in order to get him to confess. Jesus Christ, that's a joke somebody was in love with and couldn't bring themselves to cut it. But it went on for too long, and it was way stupid and lost me entirely. So overall, oh my God, there had to have been another way to get from the second act to the third act, Mac, without him having to wrestle a gator. Which, if you could see the poster behind us, it's in the fucking marketing. It's on the poster, and I'm thinking to myself, like, again, was this just a joke that no one could bear to cut? Like, we have, like, I don't understand what wrestling what is this, fucking X, or or oh God, the alligator's not in the other ones, but like, why did we need a gator in this movie? Like,
well, we had water nearby, so
Oh, good.
We gotta use it.
Why not a Cthulhu? Why not a shark? A giant octopus, maybe.
Well, let's add to that. The first thing Reese Witherspoon says, "How did you get that in here?" Which I'm thinking, surely he didn't. An alligator that size weighs about 250 pounds, and it's not 250 dead pounds. It's 250 strong alligator pounds that would definitely have resisted him. And yet it's kind of laying there.
It's 250 John Jones pounds is what that is.
Yeah. And now, the only time it acted like an alligator was when it finally bit Reese. And it's like, okay. I that took me clear out of it. I thought, she does a show she produced a show called Is It Dead? And I thought, even if it was dead, you couldn't drag that in here. And then it starts wiggling. So I'm so far out of the movie now. I'm going, is there a joke to explain why it's alive? Was it dead when he found it? Something. No. He just somehow did that. And
that felt like a reminder to the audience. Hey, remember how Reese Witherspoon works on TV?
Yeah. Because they say it at the beginning and they never mention it again. And they should have said something, because that's really, she should have said, well, she did say it. That one's not dead. But he didn't believe her. Which means he drug it in here, what, drunk? It didn't wiggle? I don't know. It just took me completely out. And I'm thinking, come on, guys.
And nobody in the small-ass island noticed it.
No.
Yeah. He drug it through a hallway or lifted it through a window and then got up again to close the window because they have to open it again to let him out? No. This is all completely wrong.
So Dorian's been commenting, and I've been reading them and commenting back. But
has he?
I haven't been putting them on screen. I'm going to put this one on screen because it actually applies, I think, to the conversation, and I believe it answers all of our questions and raises some new ones. The alligator was drunk.
There you go. Drunk ass alligator. He bit through a Jack Daniels bottle and it didn't kill him.
If the alligator had been a member of the wedding party, I would have bought that. like like the alligator.
Trained
like
alligator.
Yeah, the alligator is like wearing a tux and a top hat, maybe. All right, Mac, tag in.
All right. When I saw that Nicholas Stoller was director here, my first thought was Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which I absolutely loved. It was spectacular. It was good storytelling. It was good comedy. It was good romance. I was honestly kind of jazzed. And I had just had my Met experience with Back in Action, so I was looking forward to that. But what happened here is Nicholas Stoller got a movie star. He got Will Ferrell. He got Reese Witherspoon, and he stepped aside for Will Ferrell's comedy. He stopped telling the story he intended to tell, which is why the jokes went on way too long. Will Ferrell was in charge. Now, I'm not saying he took over. I'm saying Stoller bowed. Oh, no. Will thinks this is a good idea, so we want this. And he didn't trust himself. Will took over. Will did the best he could, but he does the thing he always does. It's big, it's loud, it's screaming.
I gotta interject here. You are 110% right. One of two things happened. They either let Will Ferrell just do his thing, and everyone was afraid to tell Will Ferrell stop.
Yeah.
Or they told him to riff, and Will Ferrell is, a good actor, and he riffed. And because everyone's so in love with Will Ferrell's riffing, they just let him go. And again, Nick Stoller, as Robert would say, is more of a stage manager on this movie than he was a director.
Yeah.
Because a good director is Spike Lee, who tells Damon Wayans, "No, Damon, stop doing that stupid voice."
Or worse than that, that should have worked and it didn't. I'm cutting it. We need to do something else.
Yeah,
that's a director.
Yes.
But Stoller got in there. He's obviously a fan of Will Ferrell, and again, I'm in the minority there. Most people simply are. And if you've got him and Reese, he probably felt like there wasn't a lot he should do. And if it looked strange to him, then it was him. But given how well he did with Forgetting Sarah Marshall, he should have trusted himself, and I don't think he did. The chemistry between Ferrell and Witherspoon is non-existent. It's positively cringy. I'm not blaming them. They weren't shot right. The script wasn't right for it, and yet somehow they're supposed to drift together. And by the time at the end when they are getting together, you're thinking, I just don't want to see it when that happens. Let that happen off screen somewhere, because I don't. There's no warmth there. There's no sexuality there. There's no passion or urge. There's no realization. Oh my God, I'm in love. No. It doesn't build up. It doesn't pay off.
It was like someone took 2 ice cream sandwiches and smashed them together.
Yeah, they'll taste fine together, but they're not together. They're next to each other.
Yeah.
Reese is great. Will is great. They don't blend, or at least they didn't blend here. Again, that's something Stoller could have done if he'd meant to, if he'd seen it and trusted himself. But I just don't see that happening. The supporting cast was good as they could be with the script they had. This script seems to be a framework for improvisation, not just from Will, but since you have to let Will riff, you have to let everybody else go with him. And I love Reese, but she's not an improv. I've never seen her do that. She's a solid actress. She can pull a load if you tell her what she's doing. But I've never seen her improv, and she wasn't even an effective straight man here, because that straight man occupies a very specific spot in the comedy, and she didn't do that. I don't know if they edited that out or if they didn't include it to begin with. Let's see. The lighting, cinematography, and sound were top notch, but uninspired. I think again they were just trying to get out of the way, just display things. This whole movie, aside from being cringy, came off like a Volkswagen. It'll do the job, but it's nothing to write home about.
Yeah. I was kind of summing this all up. I watched it over the weekend, and I have seen so much worse. This bordered on. This started to approach. Oh my God! Turn this the fuck off. But it pulled back just enough to where, like, all right, I think I can get through this. I'm actually surprised. This one, the audience score is a 33%, and this is 2.4 out of 5 on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, and I'm just looking at the audience meter. I'm actually surprised more people didn't enjoy this than not, because I feel like, and I don't know, maybe. So a couple years ago, just to give you an idea of like where my head's at, Ronnie and I reviewed a movie called Vacation Friends, and I made a lot of the same kind of comments about how like this feels like a very modern movie, for modern audiences, and it's cringe humor where people don't act like humans. I don't know what comedy is like in the rest of the world, but America has like one funny movie, and it's this kind of thing, which I'm surprised then it didn't do better than it did. And I'm actually wondering, Mick, do you have any thoughts before we move on to the last movie? You're one of them young people. Speak for your people. Like, why don't more people like this movie?
Represent, Mick.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be because it seems like we addressed this a little bit earlier. It seems like someone much older wrote the script and was deliberately trying to make fun of Gen Z, and so I feel like they wouldn't go for that.
Yeah, like they were triggered, you say?
But also, I think it was like it didn't really get out there. Like before you gave me this triple feature, I had not heard a single thing about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see a commercial. I've never seen a trailer. I've never even seen an ad for it online. So for a new movie, that's kind of surprising. You'd think I'd see it somewhere.
Yeah.
So that maybe they just didn't do a good job advertising it?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. The only reason why I know about it is because I was combing through the Wikipedia for new movie releases, and whatever I saw was streaming, I just kind of put on a list and said, okay, I'm going to chop these up and make shows out of them. But yeah, and when I look at the Wikipedia page for this, there's barely anything in the production. There was no marketing for it. It just says it was released worldwide on Amazon Prime January 30th. And then, even in like the reception part of it, it's just kind of mixed or average. It's like everyone just sort of looked at this and went, meh. It seems to be the fucking theme of tonight's show.
Well, owing to what Mick said, if the studio said that too, that's why they didn't get a lot of advertising.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I would assume if you're Amazon and you've got two big time stars like Reese Witherspoon and Will Ferrell, you would, if all you have to do is just sort of show the movie like in the frame of the website to let people know it's there. They did that with Red One. When Red One finally came to Amazon, it was everywhere online. You could, that people might go to see it. And yeah, you're right. I don't remember seeing a whole lot of that with You're Cordially Invited, as if to say like, heck yeah, we paid for it. It's fine. People will find it, but we don't really care. It's almost like we don't care if people watch this or not, which is a weird take on your own movie.
Could be something like that. They just wanted to put it out there, and then if it did well, it did well. If not, they don't care because they're Amazon.
Yeah. The money they spent on this is literally a drop in the bucket. So,